of watch if kills are what you're coming for, so I'm expecting to see a lot of that today. I think personally, really smart play by Cloud9, taking Fnatic, a team who have said multiple times throughout the stage, look like the most structured, strategical team that is going. What's the best way to nullify that? Take them to Coastline.
Certainly is. It'll certainly break down that benefit, that advantage that they might have had. Now, first ban comes in, interesting one there with Dockerby. Now, it's a good long time since we've seen a Dockerby ban.
And not really one that we've seen Cloud9 play too much. They've picked it up once or twice over the last few stages, but definitely not been a staple in their lineup. Sora is going to be the one coming out from Cloud9, which somewhat surprises me. Teams have talked about maps like Oregon, Cafe, Villa in some cases, places where there are strong places that you can hold on to. That's where you see the Flores really shining. But as Jess revealed on the desk a couple of weeks ago, in fact, a couple of play days ago, we have seen some good use of Flores on this map where, for example, you can break a vase hold making use of the Mozzie, by the Mozzie, it's not the ban, the Flores, sorry, by getting the drone through the whole inside of VIP, getting it up into vase and destroying the shield that's there, any ADSs that are there, all makes sense. And Mozzie and Mute, with how strong they are these days, I think taking out the more roam ready of the pair in the form of the Mozzie, get that off the board, get the Valkyrie 2 to reduce the information. Definitely varied bans to what we see on other maps, but overall, to me at least, very sensible bans.
Absolutely. Valkyrie coming in to finalise things for us, just taking away that information. There's a lot of external cams available on Coastline, which can make approaching the map a little bit of a nightmare. But we're going to be heading into round one then. It's Blue Bar and Sunrise, interestingly, coming in as the first choice pick from Fnatic. Normally we would see Hooker and Billiards be our #1 site choice, but this is the thing about Coastline, Des. There's lots of discussions about the map, and one of the, if we could talk about the strengths of the map, one of the strengths for me is the viability of the sites. 3 out of 4 particularly are very viable. Penthouse and Theatre, you can make arguments around it.
If you're Unnights in EU, you play it, as they have done before.
If you can make arguments around it, it's not impossible to hold, but it's more difficult than the others. But Blue Bar, Sunrise, you've got Kitchen Service, you've got Hooker and Billiards, and all very, very defensible. So I think that is one of the strengths on Coastline. There is plenty of variety in which sites you're going to see played. Yep. We talk about the strengths. Maybe one of the weaknesses can be that we are limited to 2 staircases. It's essentially a big donut-shaped building with a staircase at opposite sides, and that makes it quite easy to take control of the top floor. You can get yourself established upstairs as attackers. You can lock down those staircases. We've got Envy Taylor on the Nomad. That's going to be job 1. Get an air jab on either of them staircases, and once the roamers have been scared off, that's it. You've got top floor control, and you can just use that at your leisure.
What I do really like looking at the 2 compositions for either side, by the way, is if we weren't on Coastline here and you only saw these lineups, Coastline is not a map that you would assume you'd see this kind of lineup on. In the sense of you seeing soft destruction every map, Nomad to cover flanks, suggest something like Cafe, for example, then Hibana, Zofia, and Diana. 3 very staple picks. With Fnatic on the defense, this very dug-in defense here, the Roma really only being something like the Jaeger. You're looking at the Wamai, the Jaeger, the Aruni, the Mute. Those are all very common super defensive picks that we see these days. All that aside, the smoke has been picked off already, and Cloud9 wasting absolutely no time. They're straight in here and have got control of site. They've just burst their way in, found 1 kill, got a second down onto Styx, and suddenly Fnatic are going to scramble. They lose yet another, but they're in. This grenade, oh my god, get the way out of that one. That one blows up. That's going to be a bit of a nasty one for you. Both of them having to scramble away from the sofa, but now should be able to get this plant back down. The cross comes through, the spray from Tex doesn't quite connect the way that they need. They're dug in, but at this point don't, I think, have the ability to put the diffuser down.
That grenade could be a big problem, Des. I don't think it will be ultimately, as Envy Taylor manages to finalise things there, but they were in a position to start putting the diffuser down when that grenade got dropped at their feet, and they had to move away swiftly from the area, and it just really threw them into a little bit of disarray. It allowed Tex to pick up that long-range kill from Kitchen Door, and had things sort of swung slightly differently, it could have been a big problem for them had they lost that opportunity to put the diffuser down. But
we should see a little bit more composure.
Yes, I don't think we'll see the attempt from Cloud9 again. It's not something that you get away with twice.
He says now.
Sorry, I've done that to Fnatic before. We'll see how round 2 plays out. We're going to be in kitchen and service this time around. We've got the mirror brought along. It's always an interesting mirror, that one. I do enjoy watching how that plays out. It's been played on the service wall, looking in towards main lobby. Main lobby quite often an area of contention on this site when you're trying to get control of the service area to get a diffuser down. So that mirror could be an important location, but it can be dealt with reasonably easily from above, as can the majority of the utility, not just on this site, but on this map. Thank you very much. We take a look at the upstairs, and this is why Fnatic are doubling down and getting utility up in theatre, because they don't want to give up possession of Penthouse, because it just makes it a nightmare to try and keep yourself inside a site.
Easy was teasing Medics actually behind the scenes. He was saying, he goes, oh, do you know what the last map is? He's like, yeah, it's Coastline. I was like, oh, do you know who's casting it? It was like Ace and Dez, and he was like, yeah, enjoy overtime, mate. Be ready for a long grind on Coastline is the way that he worded it. And whether or not that transpires, we'll wait to see how things shape up when we come to the end of the half and how Fnatic's attacks then start to square up at the start of the second half. For now, I want to keep a close eye on this Oryx as well for Mag. We spoke about him earlier on about 2 minutes ago and said, has struggled at points to really have a big impact, especially early on in games, but as games wear on, that's when he starts to warm up and get a little more involved. Oryx is one of those operators that has that ability, given again the fast nature of this map. Up and down hatches, for example, can keep the other team constantly guessing, but we always say that's kind of the dream state for an Oryx. It never really transpires to be that he gets to make use of that ability to climb up hatches to catch the other team off guard.
I mean, it does start to solve that rotation problem that I spoke about. Top floor of Coastline is... Oh, that was unfortunate timing for Tex there. He could have had himself an absolute freebie as Harper came in, but there we go. Skeleton key kill. Sit down, Tex, as that is a great play from the book at the top of Cool Vibes there. OCN is going to get the kill onto Stigs, leaving us in a 4 versus 3. We've still got the Oryx on the cards, so there is the potential for pressure to come back onto these attackers even after they've got control of that top floor. Now then, Shiol takes out that default cam and gives away his location, but manages to find a long angle kill onto Lusty over in the main lobby. Traded out by Mentalist, but now leaves us in a 3 versus 2, and advantage is to Cloud9.
Yeah, I mean, being here with the diffuser, you're in a powerful position, but you got a minute to go. You cannot hold that down this whole time. You need to be moving around here and keeping the side of Cloud9 guessing. You can see the drones coming out, the information being passed back and forth. Mentalist finally gets done in as Mag is now the last man standing. He has the longer angle, but doesn't have anyone, of course, being by himself, to give any kind of cover inside of the hallway itself. So this push down Cool Vibes could very comfortably retrieve the diffuser and then go and plant inside a kitchen. They're just not sure where Mag is right now. He's keeping himself hidden inside of office when they probably assume that he's going to be on site inside of kitchen.
30 seconds left to go. Mag just holding on for time for the moment, see whether he can pick himself up a kill and start to bring this back towards his favour, but there's going to be a lot of work for him. It's It'll be interesting if he knows that diffuser's there. He finds the first Des. That's one onto Static. Uses that ability to burst his way in. Just changes location and his angle of attack now then. The pressure's really going to mount. He gets a second. Down. That's a down. That's Harper down. Do Cloud9 take the opportunity? They don't have time to pick him up.
Oh,
Mag nearly gets the second, but Envy Taylor just manages to juke, just manages to strafe and avoid those bullets and get the kill onto the man stood on top of bar. It looked like he was at a party there, Des, but there was no celebration for Mag at the end of that round.
Absolutely not. 2 rounds in a row as well that Envy Taylor has brought it back over the finish line. Previous round, in round number 1, it was the double spray down from Kitchen that won the round, and there the 1 versus 1 against Mag, who you could have swore he could have got Envy just before as well. Must have skinned him by just ever so slightly, but not enough to put him down and close the round out. 2-0 to Cloud9. Not a scoreline that I think any of us expected to be saying today.
On another day, Mag gets both of those after he's got the player downed and he's just got that fine angle. Envy Taylor looking to push, and there's fractions of a second involved in that where Envy Taylor's then in the wrong position and ends up getting gunned down at the same time as Harper. But that's not how it played out. Envy Taylor able to close out the round. Mag, unfortunate there. Such a great effort at the end. But we're moving to round 3. We're going to see the third defensive site for Fnatic here. They haven't won one yet, but they have chosen to move each time. Again, just speaking as to the viability of these sites that I discussed at the beginning of the game. This time we're going to move into Hooker and Billiards for this defence. And right now, Fnatic, they need to find something, Des. Not only do they not want to find themselves 3-0 down, they don't want to find themselves having tried all of the major sites here and not won any.
Absolutely. I mean, you can already see how what we spoke about in the pre-game is coming to life here as well, right? Take Fnatic away from a more structured map and just let yourself get constantly embroiled into 1v1s, 1v2s, where Cloud9 are stacking up, if not exceeding what Fnatic are being able to achieve in those 1v1s all around the map. Whether it was the scrap around Vars, whether it's the one on a kitchen window, whether it's something down towards Blue Bar, continuously it's not enabling Fnatic to play for the style that has worked for them so well historically. So much ground to cover, so many 1v1s to take that Cloud9 are coming ahead in, which is nice to see. That being said, Tex wins one, traded out a second later, so there's a nice little bit of team play for you.
Lusty's going to find himself getting pinched very, very soon if he does not move himself out of service. He's holding on to it for the time being. Harper's looking to push in. There you go. Okay. Shiol finds the kill coming in from kitchen window. Exactly the push that I was talking about. Shiol finds one onto Mentalist as well. Information being fed into him with the red ping to let him know that Stiggs is at the bottom of Cool Vibe stairs. He's going to dip away. Mag gets an active ping there. That's going to just alert him to the presence of Shiol, leaving us now in a 3 versus 2.
You can keep casting, mate. I was just saying 1v1 the whole way through because continuously there are always 1v1 fights coming out, and whilst other players are in the proximity, we've only seen that one real bit of trade play come through so far in the round. Stiggs holding up on the hatch. Yes, it's that 2 versus 3, so C9 have still got the numbers advantage here that they can press forwards with, but with 1 minute 30 on the clock, that is so much time they've got to operate in that for Fnatic, I almost feel like you need to do something big here and now, and killing a player on the rappel could have been it, but manages to get himself up on the roof safely.
Cloud9 just needs to take a breather here.
Yes.
There's been an awful lot of action and an awful lot of energy expended there in the last sort of minute or so, and they need to remember they've got an age ahead of them here now. Mag's going to pre-place a Nitro there underneath the default plant spot, so that well could come into play later on in the round, but honestly I don't think we're going to get to that stage as Envy Taylor finds a kill onto Stiggs and using the long angle from VIP, which as you quite rightly say, Des, would normally be reinforced, but not this time. Here goes Mag once again, 1v3 down to a 1v2. He misses his shots on Envy Taylor. It's every time. It's as if the bullets coming out of Mag's gun just will not connect with Envy Taylor of all players. He's going to put him down once again, and that is now 3 rounds unsuccessful on the defensive side for Fnatic.
Oh, I mean, to miss shots like that, you're going to be kicking yourself. But there was a player coming up Cool Vibes at the same time. And we spoke a lot about the time they had there. The one real kicker for me was, again, the fact that that VIP wall was soft. Normally, that's double reinforced off to stop happening what you just saw. Open that wall up, get a nice long angle through into billiards. Anyone moves in there, they die. Simple as that. Normally, if you see her banner picked up, for example, they'll open the quad wall. They'll go and open that VIP wall to give you that angle. But for it to be given away so freely, definitely restricted the man playing in behind Baron. As you mentioned again, coming down to that 1v1 at the end, Envy Taylor's just better. He certainly
seems to be in the last couple of rounds. He's had Mag's number and he's managed to get that final kill both times. Envy Taylor's on a bit of a tear today, Des. You can just see he's got... Sometimes Envy Taylor comes into games and you can just feel the danger in his presence inside of the map, and you just know it's going to be one of those days. And right now, it's going to be one of those days. Envy Taylor, he's going to keep doing this, I can tell you now. He's just going to go wild. The one thing I will say, and I'm not falling back to attacker or defender sided, but the attack does tend to have a pretty free time on Coastline.
What are the numbers? Give me the numbers.
I don't have the numbers because we haven't played Coastline.
I see. So now you're stepping away from your trusty stats and going into instead.
Okay, 0% because we haven't played it. But generally speaking, we do know that the attackers don't have the worst time in the world on Coastline. No. If they come out and have a good half, then yep, okay, fair enough. What I will say on the back of that is, because I'm not falling onto that and just saying Cloud9 are winning because they're on the attack side. It's absolutely not that. Envy Taylor's going wild. They're having a great game. They're going in, they're clearing areas, they're winning gunfights. I mean, you've just got to look at that push onto Lusty. If you remember, I picked it up before and said he's going to get pinched if he's not careful, because there was one pushing from service door, there was one pushing from kitchen window. It was Shiol ultimately from kitchen window that got the kill, but it was just so well worked from Cloud9 that they just put him in a completely lose-lose situation. There was just nothing that he could do other than what he did effectively, which was to give his life and just try to burn as much time as he could in getting there. But yeah, it's been very well played from Cloud9 so far, and if they can continue this momentum, I don't think even a switch in sides is going to impact on that stride. But we did see them go 6-0 last week and lose the game, so who knows?
Why'd you have to say it, Ace? Why'd you have to remind all the Cloud9 fans out there? It was pain. hopefully less pain today. Time will tell, see how this half proceeds first, whether or not Cloud9 can keep this 3-0 on the go. Fnatic, in case you missed it, did just have their tactical timeout as well, so they've had that conversation of, okay, 3 rounds in a row lost, what needs to change? We know what the problem is here. Curious enough, of course, it was called out by the coach. They stepped in and said, Dizzle said, look, we're going to have a conversation about this, or if it was a player-mandated one to say, right, we know what's going on, we just need those 60 seconds to have a bit of a chat about it. Either way, no one's dead yet inside the first 50 seconds, which feels like a miracle given how fast engagements have been in this game so far. But consistently, we've seen Cloud9 in a 3 versus 2, or at least with the numbers advantage, with about, you know, a minute and a half to go. The map is very fast-paced. No one's being forced to fight against the clock. In comes the jump in, and like that, Crossfire comes set up onto Shyle. Mentalist didn't have to shoot, but OCN comes in from behind, having a bit of a day so far, admittedly. A couple of rounds now. He's been absolutely massive on the entry. They're inside of service, and let's see what they can do.
Welcome to APAC North for OCN there, as you say, coming in 4-2 at the minute and going extremely well, teaming up with Harper on that occasion to move in and just support each other to get control over service. A couple of kills come in. We've got Mag onto OCN, bringing us to a 3 versus 3 at the halfway mark. And early aggression has certainly been a definite factor and a fixture here. There's on Coastline, and it's no surprise teams going in and just looking to take those gunfights. As you say, a lot less strategy employed here and much more run and gun, and we've certainly been seeing that in the early entry kill times. Halfway through the round, we're quite often seeing this 3 versus 3, having already lost a number of men from both sides.
Absolutely, all things being square. Only the one drone left, admittedly, for the side of Cloud9. This will be one of those taking fights a little bit blind, unless Fnatic has enough time to deploy that Gemini and collect some information on the inside. I was going to say, I imagine they use it here to burn out the laser gate. In fact, no. Burnt out by the grenade. They see the man. The shot comes in. It's Envy again to bring down Mag. He is his nemesis today.
He certainly is. Every single time it seems to be Envy that's able to find Mag and shut him down, and it's a big play for Cloud9 as another kill almost rains in. Tech's down but not out. It's all up to Lusty. 1 versus 3 for the 3rd round in a row. Static goes in, gets the kill. He'd already got the down onto Tech, so that one's credited to him as well. And Cloud9, they are crediting round after round to their balance at the top of the screen at the minute. 4-0, and they are flying. Fnatic don't look even close to picking up a round so far.
No need. Pantheon's there to being hovered. Okay, excited about that one. You said we don't really see teams pick that. We saw Easy Dream back in the old days, then Tempera, then Train Hard, now known as Unknights. Going through so many iterations, I imagine you've probably had more iterations than times that we've seen this site played in professional play. But for them, what they did when they defended this site more often than not was basically say, open everything. All the walls open. We want to see 90. We want to see all the way down the hallway towards Hookah and Billiards. We want to play the long angles and use that as our points of contestation. So whether that's their go-to tactic or it's more of a dug-in one where you're looking to play denial inside of the site itself, you can play downstairs if you want to. There are options, and again, I'm just keen to see which ones they choose to employ. The fact there's a clash says to me they want to play on site, though.
Absolutely. I would expect that to be the case. Of course, Mag bringing along that clash. We'll see just exactly where that is played as the round progresses. We've got interesting little soft wall option there on Theatre. That's just going to give a view towards Luggage Door, so they will be able to play aggressively in towards that area. Also not allowing any freedom at the top of White Stairs. I often find when you get that Theatre wall open, if you're on the attack, it can make it very, very difficult to manage sites. So it looks like the defense of Fnatic there are going to be quite aggressive out towards that side, and what they're trying to do is just prevent Cloud9 feeling comfortable getting in there. We've also got the Wamai of Styx playing inside of VIP. He's got himself a shield. He's got a little bit of utility to try and back him up here. He's got the laser gate on the window. The longer he can stay in that position, the better. So right now you've got 2 main areas for attack, VIP and top White Stairs, and it looks like Fnatic, they're choosing to try and hold on to both of them quite aggressively.
It always starts out this way, though, where it's like, okay, cool, they've got a cool setup on the go, everyone's in good positions, like, Fnatic know what they're doing. It's once the shooting starts that things start falling apart. But here they catch out Envy, the nemesis of Mag, who's been having a miserable time.
I think I just heard Mag breathe a sigh of relief.
I just heard him cheer, mate, all the way here from across the other end of the world, basically. Envy being off the field, though, is again top fragger. 7 kills so far in the game, removed from the field. Not the end of the world to say that you lose a fragger. You've still got 4 more to play with. Sure. For me, the more numbers dwindle on the side of Cloud9 as another one falls by the wayside. You've got to deal with clash. She becomes a greater headache the fewer members you've got. It's like playing against the Monty on the attack. You got one defender left against the Monty. They are not winning that round. Plain and simple.
The Zephyr is one of the deaths as well, and obviously Shio would have been a direct counter to the clash. Using those stun grenades would have moved the shield and given an opportunity for Mag to be dealt with. So as you say, as that utility goes off the board, as the deaths come in, Mag just standing tall there, just absolutely absorbing everything that is thrown his way, and he will continue to do so. Halfway through the round then, Fnatic, they're looking in a pretty good spot at the minute. If Cloud9 want any hope here, they need to start getting some kills. They need to level things up so that they can then devote the manpower that will be required to deal with this clash as the round progresses.
Maybe that's what to pick the clash here. Envy can't kill me if I've got a shield in front of my face and team members defending behind me. It's worked wonderfully for them so far. A very solid hold of 90 coming in at this point, just stopping them even getting any kind of West control inside of, say, VIP, or looking to get control of Theatre, and saying if you want to get that, then realistically, you're going to have to go through us first. With 50 seconds left and a 3 versus 5, you kind of start wondering, where is that going to come for Cloud9? Where does that attack come through that's going to work so well?
Cloud9 starting to make a little bit of a push there, but Stiggs it is to shut down OCN, and you just feel like this round is heading in one direction. Harper gets the kill onto Tex, but he's being watched all the while by the clash of Mag. He will be shut down by Mentalist, and there goes the grenade that will move the shield, but Static just can't react quick enough. Killed from inside of sight. What a great team pairing there between Mentalist and Mag. You had Mag just bullying them out on those stairs with the clash, and then Mentalist just picking them up from inside of the site. It was well worked and a good round for Fnatic to get on the board. They really need to follow it up with another positive defence here so that they are not too far behind at the half.
That's just it. You don't want to find yourself slipping too deeply here. I mean, if you look back at last week and your fav, then maybe you're saying, hey, we do want to fall that far behind because we know we can then win 8 rounds successively and turn a 6-0 into an 8-6. In case you didn't watch it last week, that was the absolute madness that we got to endure last Wednesday. At least here, though, there is a bit more balance. Like you say, for Fnatic, I think you want this second round here as well on the board, just so you feel a little more comfortable going into the second half. But given how dominant it's been for Cloud9, I'd almost argue Cloud9 will feel cheated if they don't find themselves this 5th round.
I think they will, because, as we say, it's not just about the numbers on the scoreboard. Cloud9 have been very dominant so far. They've been able to pick up on exactly what Fnatic are trying to do, and they've worked around them very well. They've left them on a number of occasions in extremely difficult situations. 1 versus 3 at the end of 3 rounds. They've been individually picking players out and pinching them and just putting them in absolutely impossible positions to get out of. So Cloud9 really do feel like the dominant force at the minute. If Fnatic can turn out a second round here on Hooker and Billiards and find that they've broken the seal a little bit, it could be a bit of a coup for them.
Could be, could be. I've always found it curious as well, because for the longest time, well, not the longest time, recently, I guess, since the changes came into Frost, a lot of teams preferred moving over to playing the Frost than something like an Alibi. If you remember back before she got given the shotgun secondary, for example, before she got given the deployable shield, Frost was never really picked up. An Alibi would be the go-to. I want someone with a shield that can also do a bit of soft destruction with the secondary while providing a gadget that, you know, in some cases turns out to be useful. Frost, it feels, nearly always is just a superior pick at the moment, unless, of course, you want the 3-speed. And the Storm is not a bad weapon either, one thing to consider on that front. Definitely more, I'd say, gun heavy than, say, a Frost would be. But it feels like Frost just brings so much more, again, in the way of the Frost mats, for example, the shotgun secondary being a bit stronger than the Bailiff. But it's kind of down to player preference, I guess.
OCN on the 0, just setting himself up out on the ruins for the time being. Just going to look to apply a couple of those Argus cams in and around site, gain some information. Not going to be too much about taking utility out this time, because there isn't anything too essential in terms of bandits, mutes, things like that. I'm sure the opportunity will be taken should it present itself, but it's more about just trying to get a handle on where all these defenders are playing, where the utility is located. That Banshee is easily dealt with as the soft surface behind it is destroyed by Harper with the Buck skeleton key. So 1 minute 44. We are yet to see a death so far. It's been pretty tame here in the final defensive round for Fnatic. They're certainly not wanting to get too aggressive, but saying that, Lusty, watching that sunrise window for the potential of a jump out.
It's always been that kind of mid-round explosion where you get 3 or 4 people dead and you enter the final 60 seconds with a 3 versus 3 is the way most of these rounds feel like they've shaped up. You still got this man playing inside a bar, and you recall last time round we spoke about VIP, the longer angle being opened. Cloud9 have got no one playing inside of VIP this time, thank you very much, Medics. Just showing us that longer angle that again comes through into billiards and cuts out this player that's playing inside a bar. It's why you've got ADSs there, it's why you've got a shield, and now Harper's starting to square up for a push coming in through Aqua while we've still got members all around the map. And in comes the back flank. Oh, no.
That was always going to happen, wasn't it? It was like an accident where you can see it's going to happen, Des. You just can't do anything about it.
It's like watching a kid that's about to fall off a chair and bang the head, and you're just like, I can't do anything to stop this. I may as well watch.
Envy Taylor, he manages to watch himself all the way for a headshot onto Lusty. Tex is down but not out, but health is ticking away. Harper's getting that diffuser down, will almost certainly manage to succeed, but does not, as Mentalist manages to get that Toxic Babe canister right on point and manages to get the kill. 3 versus 2 effectively. Shayo bringing that down to 3 versus 1 as it's all down to Mike. How many times have I said it, Des? 1 versus 3 at the end of a round. That's the 4th time now that Cloud9 have found themselves in that advantageous position.
Charles, the big window, they're doing a lot of work too. They can't do much to stop a gas canister coming out and, you know, downing the guy who's going for the plant and ultimately killing them, right? But what you can do is when someone steps their head up there to try and contest onto the replant attempt is find a couple of kills. Finding the one playing inside of Hookah, got the one behind Bar, had good coverage for those already inside of Aqua. A real key power position there. And again, I was surprised that no one was playing inside of VIP, but that's because they had the coverage coming in from big window.
It's a little bit early to be saying it yet. There's still rounds to be played. We've got the side switch. Cloud9 need to show us now that they can defend here. But you're starting to feel with the matchup last week, I know it didn't go all their favour, but with the matchup last week and the performance that we're seeing here from them so far, you got to start thinking, Des, that maybe Cloud9 are back.
Don't say it.
Maybe.
No. Let me just throw one more factor at you. I'll give you a hint. It's probably the most influential thing in this game that's leading to this outcome at the moment. What do you think it is?
Well, at the minute...
Begins with C.
At the minute, there's a
No, second letter is O. The third one is A. Do you know where I'm going?
Des, it's not all down
Trust
to the
me. I think if you were on a map like Clubhouse or something more strategical and tactical, I think you would see Fnatic doing far more.
I agree with that. You would have them doing better, but we also know that Cloud9 are more than capable of playing tactical siege. It's been a confidence issue lately, I think, more than anything, and not getting themselves running. So that's why I say they've had that performance last week on Consulate, which was hit and miss, fair play. But now they come out with a strong performance against Fnatic, and it starts to build them back to that point.
I'll be that guy. I need to see them have a good performance on a non-frag heavy map for me to be convinced.
I would agree. I would agree with that. I'm just saying I think this starts to maybe show us the signs that they are playing well, they're hitting the shots, and they're ready to get back up to full speed. You know what's going to be
really interesting? Predictions for Cloud9's game on Friday.
It's going to be awful.
Where are you going to go with that one, guys?
It's going to be a real tough one. I mean, we're both on Fnatic for this one. We did expect to see more, and I think we will see more out of them over their attacking half. I think they will prove what I'm saying about Coastline in that we do have those days where the attackers will just have an absolute field day, and we've got 2 kills coming quickly there, and this is going to be the turning of the tide now. How brutal could this be if Cloud9 found themselves reeled all the way back in once again?
Imagine. Oh, you're speaking about confidence and, you know, morale building back up. Imagine losing the 6-0 last week, and if you lost this one after being 5-1 up. Man, I mean, it nearly happened earlier on, so let's not forget there was a 5-1 game that came back to 5-1 to the other side and went through to overtime. That then that was the first game of the day, actually, I think, wasn't it? It was Talon versus T1 to start.
It was, yeah.
5-1, 5-1. Harper's also down, by the way, so this has started off as a torrid first round coming in for Cloud9. I'll steal that word from you once again. They should be able to get him back up here, I think, because he is behind the reinforced wall, but you've got to be so wary. I think that's what I'm worried about here. Step into the wrong angle, you could find yourself with an angle being taken from the roof as they've already been caught out by Lusty up there. Might just leave him to bleed out here and say, look, we're safe inside a hookah. You can stay over there inside a bar and just bleed out. Sorry, buddy, just give us some information while you're there.
Static holding a tight angle through that punch hole. Of course, bullet holes not working in the same way anymore, so we don't see those tiny, tiny little pinpoint angles. It's now a punch hole in a wall, and it's much more dangerous to keep yourself positioned behind it because obviously they're much easier spotted. 5 versus 3, time ticking away, but still a minute left to go. It's not the end of the world. It's not Panic Station conditions just yet for Fnatic, but Static does manage to find a nice headshot onto Stiggs. Tex, however, will find and finish off the downed Harper. So that is now going to be 4 versus 2 with Mag getting the diffuser down. Surely this round is done as Tex finds a kill onto OCM. Mag successful in activating that diffuser. Static has to fight his way back in, and it's going to be nice for Fnatic to find themselves on the right side of a 1 versus 4, although Static does manage to bring it back to 1 versus 3. They know where he's coming from now, though. He's heading in through luggage, and they're going to be waiting. The angle is covered. Mag it is to find that final shot, and that's going to be Fnatic taking themselves around and bringing it back to 5-2.
They cut a lot of angles off in the early round there, so as Cloud9 were trying to rotate around the map, move themselves into key positions, they were just being caught from the roof, from windows. It was just not a very pretty affair at all, is the best way that I can describe it. I can't imagine Cloud9 are too disheartened. You want a round or two to kind of get to grips with it, to figure it out. Let's not forget, Cloud9 did have those first 3 attacking rounds completely in their favour. Fnatic called the timeout, still couldn't quite fix things, so Cloud9 have also still got that option available to them. They can call that tactical timeout at any point and have a bit of a conversation around what needs to be fixed. Now, Jess mentioned this on the desk. The Lion pick for Fnatic on this map historically has been one of their go-to picks, so no surprise at all here to see them stepping back over to it. Just helps control any of the would-be roamers on the side of Cloud9. And imagine you get a drone on someone and you've got the EE1D scan coming in. They stand still, the drone knows where they are, they die. They run, they get pinged by the EE1D. Chances are they die. It's a real horrible situation to be stuck in as a roamer, so I'll keep a close eye on that and see the use cases for Lusty on it, who, admittedly having a bit of a rough game, at least here provides a lot of value with that scan.
That's it, one way or another. If you're struggling to get yourself into those gunfights, then, like you say, maybe bring some utility that just allows you to contribute in an alternative manner. Now, we're going to be going down to kitchen and service for round number 8. Fnatic desperately need to get this one on the board as well. The last thing that they want to do is find themselves with 4 consecutive match points to fight off. If they can get another successful attack here, then the mental game starts to shift. I think you start telling yourself, right, this is now down to being on the attack. That's why Cloud9 have been successful, and that's why we're going to be successful now. And you start to believe you're only a couple of rounds behind, and it is well within touching distance. So immediate pressure coming in from Fnatic, getting themselves straight up to that service door. A couple of shots in. They're going to get repels up onto the top floor, in through VIP is the plan, and get control over the top floor to use those vertical angles that they'll be able to open up with the breaching charges of Stiggs.
This is exactly why they want this control as well, because right now they can't open up the soft flooring that would look into bathroom and inside some of the site, inside a service, for example, by having the penthouse control. Those 2 mirrors, one being behind the fully reinforced wall, is more of a safe point. This one here, a little more dicey. You might want to try and take the opening engagement behind this one and then step yourself back across. Otherwise, things like this can happen. Those ADSs will help momentarily. The Kairos are now down as well, though, so now he should try and step across, if he can, back onto the much harder wall. Loads of utility being thrown at him right now, though, and there comes the shot. Stiggs connecting first. That is that top floor hole cleared away.
Very good start for Fnatic once again. As you say, it gives them access to penthouse, which is particularly important because they can start opening the floor up. Plenty of breaching charges in hand, and that will give them angles down into bathroom, down into service, and they can force all the defenders back into kitchen. Stiggs will find the kill onto Envy Taylor as well. And what a kill for a Mentalist. Beautiful headshot onto Static. Knew there was a man on the main stairs and was able to delete him as he tried to move back up. That's it now. Fnatic have got complete freedom of the map here, Des. They are 5 versus 2. They've got control upstairs, 1 in service, 1 in kitchen, and it's going to become, believe me, things in that kitchen are going to heat up very, very soon, because that floor is going to start getting opened up. There's going to be fewer and fewer safe spaces.
It's always my go-to example, this site, for what a retake looks like. As soon as you lose vertical control, often you'll see the defenders scatter away from playing on the site, move out into lobby, and then play for a retake later into the round. The battle here is in a 5 versus 2. I get it.
You just got to try and do something.
I'm not sure about the sprinting, but I get it. I understand. Now going in for the plant in a 5 versus 1. Shyle, as mentioned, pinned down slightly by the Lion scan for a second, didn't get picked up by it. However, it doesn't matter, I think, in a 5 versus 1. Make it a flawless round coming out for Fnatic. Do you dare to dream, Ace? Do you dare to dream of the comeback for Fnatic and the heartbreak for Cloud9 to have that happen 2 weeks in a row?
It's certainly starting to look more possible. You know, we're now in a position where Fnatic are only 2 rounds behind. Cloud9 are finding themselves in a similar position to that which Fnatic did, whereby they can't hold on to any of these primary sites. They've lost Hooker, they've lost Kitchen. They're going to go back and try Hooker and Billiards once again. This is a really pivotal round for me because at this point, if Fnatic win this, that's 3 consecutive attacks. You're back in touching distance. You're only 1 round shy of Cloud9 then. And like you say, surely the mental game starts to weigh on you if you're Cloud9. You start to think it won't be mentioned, it won't be verbalised, I'm sure, but it's in everybody's heads that surely, you know, this can't happen again. This can't happen again.
But it can, Tim.
It always can. It always can. You're absolutely right.
That's the battle. It can, and we need to be really mindful of it becoming a reality because you have to ask questions then. As the team that kind of stepped into the hole that Giants left, not at all that Cloud9 weren't in it, they were in very much hot competition with Giants pretty much all of last year, and then towards the back end of it even went on to win the November Major, for example. So Cloud9 have been for 6 months arguably the most dominant team. SI came and went. They were the strongest entry team there, plus 29. Incredibly positive, the most positive team on entry, just really struggled to then turn games into actual wins. And since then have kind of struggled to get back on the wagon and remind everyone why they are the strongest Korean team. And now you start looking at teams like Talon and players like 11 on T1 and start thinking, okay, is there a new super team potentially in the building, in the works here somewhere? Not to say that Cloud9 are going to split up, for example, but it does leave that kind of opening for someone else to step in and go, no, we are the most dominant Korean team.
Obviously, I'm looking to play aggressively up onto the main stairs window for the time being. A few shots through it will just back him away. He gets drawn out as well. So he's just going to play his life and just dip back into 90 corridor, keep himself under cover. But look at this. Great work from Fnatic. If OCN takes one more step back, Stiggs is going to absolutely remove his head from his shoulder. There comes the ping. He's just waiting for it. He's absolutely fractions of pixels away. He sees him. And there we go. And he hits the shot. Great team play coming in from Fnatic there. Just pushing OCN back, pushing him back into the jaws of the man that was waiting. But Envy Taylor, he's able to take that information and get the trade, but immediately traded back out by Mentalist. 4 versus 3 for Fnatic, and we've had another one of those early round flurries of kills. Mag, I don't think he's aware, Des. I don't think he knows. He manages to get round and get the kill onto Shayol, who just wasn't aggressive enough. He knew there was a man on the other side of the wall, but he didn't take the fight on his own terms.
I think he knew that he was actually inside a theatre. The wall was open on the other side of it, so throwing those flashes through the drone hole would have caught him inside of theatre regardless. It feels so risky to do so, knowing that he could just swing around that corner and dome you whilst you're trying to throw those grenades down through the hole. And ultimately, he comes out on top, does get caught by the flash. That's kind of a summary, I think, of Cloud9 so far on the defense. Is they have been, not at all to excuse the pun from static, but they have been pretty static. They haven't done too much moving or roaming. Instead, they've got themselves set up in key positions and gone, yeah, 3 of us playing around 90, perfect. No worries on that. I would like to see them move a little bit more. Keep Fnatic guessing, constantly having to re-drone, for example, because the attackers are in such comfort because, well, they're not having to do much more than drone once and then make the move.
It could be part of the problem coming back to the map again, Des. You know, that mobility on coastline can be easily restricted by the air jabs being brought along by Mentalists, so it could well be that Cloud9 just feel that their options to do so are limited. Mentalist, he knows there's a man behind the bar here. He's not sure he's looking to get him, but caught out on the short angle. You can't put yourself in that CQC situation against the shotguns. Is it all turning, Des? Is the tide turning for Cloud9 here? We could find Fnatic in the middle of a storm that they want no part of as they try to push in, finally get the man from behind bar. Mag goes aggressive. Lusty finds Harper from the balcony, and that's Fnatic with another one. 3 in a row, and they are back within 1. 5-4 now. Cloud9 clinging onto the lead.
I imagine some might look at that and go, why would you swing him? Like, let him start planting and then deny it. I think it was the right call coming out from Hookah there, purely because if that plant gets into the default and starts going down, you know that the player out on Aqua Balcony is going to have the long angle covered. As soon as you show even a pixel, you're getting bullets coming flying your way, and you're essentially trapped in and forced then into a 1 versus 2 post plant. The right call was to kind of step out and go for the spray down onto the player attempting to plant. You shut him down, the guy behind him will not have time to recover the diffuser, stick the plant without you running up and shooting him in the face. So the right call, just unfortunately, the side of Fnatic hit those crucial shots. Almost a 4v2 throwaway, but they still get the win. And as you say, now at 5-4, that resurgence is on. And for Cloud9, flashbacks to last week are absolutely in their minds right now.
Have to be. There's no two ways about it. You know, they have to be. And as good players, you know, this is the sort of situation that they need to deal with now. You know, how do they process that mentally? How do they just keep that out of their minds? It's one round at a time. All we need to do is defend Sunrise and Blue Bar. That is our job now. That is what is in front of us. And we've got plenty of utility being employed over on the pool entrance side of Sunrise. One of the default spots. There's two default spots that you will see people try to plant in on this side. There is the one that we saw Cloud9 rush their way into. Thank you very much. That's spot number 1. And spot number 2, let's see if they know where I'm going. Do they know? Down in Blue Bar. Blue Bar! There we go, in behind the Blue Bar. But yes, you're quite right, there is one in front of the bar in Sunrise as well. But they're going to try to push into one of those two main areas. Cloud9 tried the rush into the poolside entrance. There's a lot of utility being put down there. Fnatic are applying a little bit of pressure there immediately, but there is also the option to get yourself established inside of Office, breach through the wall, and get the diffuser down behind Blue Bar. But if you're going to do that, you've got to take control of main lobby as well, because almost certainly lines of sight will have been opened up in the Blue Bar wall to allow a view right across the map for any defenders in main lobby.
That was our new feature, by the way. Player cam POV for the whole round. Cut it short a little bit here after about 60 seconds, but in case you're wondering about the communication that you did get to see, Magnet being the shot caller, the RGL for the team at that point, was doing a lot of talking in the pre-round around the approach they should take, collating information passed back by drones, for example. So nice to get that little view for a few brief seconds, and now you get to see how they're squaring up. Pool entrance going to be very similar to round number 1, if you recall. Cloud9 kind of burst inside here within 60 seconds, rushed in, killed 3 people, went for a plant. Here they're trying to get this player unseated. It's the Bandit, who is well and truly pinched in, but he's just trying all he can do to deny. Takes a few shots there, down to about 20 HP, and with a shotgun, we know just how deadly that can be.
It's going to be very difficult to move here because they've not got any nades on the side of Fnatic, so how do they impact on that Bandit? They've only got Hibana to be able to put pellets on the wall, and the X-Kairos pellets are very easy to Bandit trick because of the fuse time. You've got an age. As soon as they get activated, you can just start putting your Bandit battery down, no problem. We've seen him do it twice, so it's just creating them this massive problem. Fnatic completely unsure how to unseat OCN. They haven't made the rotation particularly quickly to try and push on. Really, top floor is the answer. Get yourself into hooker, open the floor up and try and get an angle down onto that Bandit, get him cleared out, and then you can get access to your default site. If you don't do that, OCN, he's just going to grind this entire round to a halt without even moving.
He has zero qualms about doing just that. Oh, the drop in from Mentalist as well completely caught Harper off guard. They knew that the panel was missing, but didn't know the shot would come in basically for free. So 1 for 1 with about 45 seconds to play. It's been one of the calmer rounds, I'd say, up to this point, but I'd imagine it will all go a little bit mental as we get towards those final 30 seconds.
Certainly will. Static playing inside the main lobby. As I suggested, a position usually held for this site. It's just an option to be able to shoot across the map and stop any potential plant in behind the alternative Blue Bar plant spot. Stiggs, he's up there in Billiards, just looking to hold the angle onto Cool Vibe Stairs, protect anybody trying to get vertical angles from inside a hooker, but we have got that full rotation, Des. It is going to be now a Blue Bar sided push. They've given up on the Bandit. If we can't clear him, if we can't play against it, we're going to stop trying. We're going to try elsewhere, but like you say, OCN could still come in clutch here. Out comes the Nitro unsuccessfully, but there's kills going down all over the map. Cloud9 close it out, and that was a really nice defense of Sunrise and Blue Bar. That one is worth having a watch back over at some point, just to exactly how they did that, and the utility particularly that they had in place to keep OCN on the Bandit in that default plant spot.
Keep him in there was, I think, the key one. Otherwise, that was definitely going to be a push coming in and a plant attempt on the sofas. That is normally the go-to default plant in the top left corner of the Sunrise room. The one that comes in through the south wall from Office, a little bit risky. You can get C4'd comfortably from inside of Sunrise. People can shoot you from across the courtyard. There's just more angles of threat coming in from around the map generally, despite being positioned in behind Blue Bar. So I think more of a case of being forced to move there, Fnatic were, by Cloud9's defense rather than by choice going to Office. And because that was a mid-round decision, they didn't have enough time to get themselves fully set up for a complete execute, and the 4K comes through very cleanly for Cloud9 at the end. 6 and 4 the scoreline now. Fnatic, they had those 3 rounds in a row. They need 2 to send us through to our 3rd overtime of the day. Medics, I apologise. We warned you of this, or more specifically, Easy did. It could very well go that far if it carries on. Time will tell.
Still 2 rounds for Cloud9 to close this out, to show that they have learnt from mistakes past and that they're not going to allow that situation to bite them again. Fnatic doing well on the attack so far, certainly better than they did on the defence, but there's no mistakes left now. There's no opportunities here. There's no second bites at this. You get it done now or the match belongs to Cloud9. We've got utility being deployed heavily on the top floor to stop access both into VIP and into Penthouse. They really do want to defend this heavy upstairs to Cloud9.
We spoke about this previously, about the idea being protecting the ceiling above service, above the bathroom, for example, to give more flexibility to the defenders in general. What's a really interesting small adaptation here compared to last time round is the mirrors of swap, or more specifically, the reinforcements of swap sides on this wall. If you remember last time round, it was the right-hand one that was soft. This time round, it's the left-hand one, and the right-hand one has been reinforced along with a bandit. It's absolutely beautiful.
We've also,
like Milosh.
We've also got a bandit battery applied to that VIP wall as well, just to prevent the long angle coming in from the double window, but it also might potentially just offer a little opportunity for attack from the defenders later on. As you can see, that looks like it's been cleared out though. They've managed to get that bandit battery, and the peak hole is going to be opened up to give them the line of sight. It gives a line of sight onto theatre wall if you're wondering exactly why they're trying to do that. It's part of a pinch. It's going to make it so that they can't really retreat out of theatre.
Double concussion coming through as well. They stopped the bandit from doing anything, and Mentalist has just come storming into theatre from the main hallway. A second kill coming out. They've absolutely outplayed the mirror in a way, Ace. No one could play in 90 because of the X-Kairos hole being opened up. They've got a man that's concussed to the high heavens and unable to bandit trick the wall, so is forced to run, only for Mentalist to come bursting in. So inside 90 seconds, they've done what they did in a previous round, cleared out the top floor defenders, and now have got full focus on the site for 90 seconds.
Mag manages to get the kill onto Envy Taylor. A little bit of payback for him after we saw him really suffer at the hands of the Cloud9 player in the first half of the game. Able to just get a little bit back at least. 5 versus 2 now, and the defenders, they are struggling against the tide here. Fnatic looking to take us to all 12 rounds as an absolute minimum, and if this one goes through to overtime, it's absolutely anybody's but Fnatic will carry a lot of momentum with them now. Mag, he's going to move into sight here and start getting that diffuser down. Shail is watching, the cover's in place, but he stepped a little bit too far. He does manage to get the kill, but it's all going to be for nothing, Des, as there's one man left. It's down to Harper. Lusty goes straight in and starts to get that diffuser down once again. The cover isn't great, though. Again, Fnatic allowing themselves to be challenged while at their most vulnerable. Putting the diffuser on the ground. Harper's going to try to play this completely out of service now, but he's got 30 seconds to survive. This is an awfully long time. He's going to have to win at least one, if not two, of these gunfights as an absolute minimum to have any hope of winning this round out. He's got the Vector, but he won't get to use it as the Nomad of Mentalist comes in and finds that final kill. We're going to 12. Fnatic have fought their way back into this one.
Of course, it's going all the way to 12 between these two. We thought at first Fnatic, they would just roll over them. And the map choice came up, and it was this could then go either way because things become a little bit more chaotic. Either way, Hookah and Billy is going to be where we potentially finalise things out here. That last round, very structured from the side of Fnatic. Good clearance to the top floor, lots of team play, angles being opened up, utility being combined to make the player inside of Theatre, OCN on the Bandit, sweat a little bit. It was a good clearance again onto more static members of Cloud9. Let's see how round 12 plays out. Again, it's a more very defensively based lineup, and an Echo being swapped in at the last second in place of the smoke. A curious one. We haven't really seen the Echo used so far as we've progressed on through. No real response on the other side to deal with it either. There's, of course, no IQ. We saw it being employed on Oregon earlier on by one of our 6 teams that played on that map. And one interesting change worth noting for the Echo is now that the Bearing 9 is as strong as it is, we've been speaking about this all day long, the Supernova is now actually a really popular choice. So Supernova primary, then having the Bearing 9 as your secondary is enough to take those longer range engagements, more mid-range than long, but at least it gives you defensive options here. It's like playing on a smoke.
The silencer does really leave it sounding like not much of a gun, to be fair, as the renovations on site are undertaken there. The rotations opened up. We've got the...
Sounds a bit flat, doesn't it?
It does a little bit, doesn't it?
Far
We've
in a
got
dud.
the Cool Vibes rotation opened up as well. Evil Eye Cam pointing down that 90 corridor, so there's going to be a lot of lines of sight, a lot of information available. We've got Cloud9 setting themselves up inside of Theatre once again, just to try and prevent too much access in through VIP, because if you want to use VIP for the assault onto Hooker and Billiards, which is quite often a popular tactic, you need to clear out Theatre now, because you can't just ignore it, because you're going to get hit on the flank through Hall of Fame if you do so. So Mag, he's going to open up that kitchen window potentially. He's just concerned about players who may well be located underneath, especially with Nitros in hand.
Absolutely. Well, nothing crazy to begin with. I know we keep on saying this as well, but we have commonly seen it get down to, say, a 3 versus 3 inside 90 seconds. But no one's been caught out on an immediate angle, like we saw Lusty catch someone from the roof earlier on. Not really the best start in that round for Cloud9. Things have settled ever so slightly then in terms of early deaths, but it has always been a bit of a mid-round scrap. OCN looking for the window with the C4, but this time round, there's no one there waiting in the middle of the window for him to take a peek, so no early death.
Mag just on the drone there, looking to help everybody push into Penthouse and get control of Penthouse and Theatre, which is then going to open up VIP and basically 3/4 of the top of the map. The defenders on the upstairs at least will then be forced back into sight. Static using that Yokai drone just to try and feed information. It does get spotted, it does get found. He tries to hide it amongst the table. A big double to kick us off. Mentalist finding Envy Taylor and Shiol before getting the air jabs deployed. And that is a great start for Fnatic, Des. They could be pushing us all the way here.
This could always absolutely mean 5 versus 3. It's hard to see how Cloud9 bounce back from this one. But the lower that clock gets, the more my eyes turn towards the Echo and wonder, with that one remaining Yokai, what can he do in the round? Will it really come that close? As it has done a couple of times. We saw it come down to that 1 versus 2 early that Fnatic did win. But that was originally a 4 versus 2. We know that they can lose numbers of advantages. And with this wall being jammed out, that's another little small hurdle for them to worry about getting over.
Just struggling with the location of that mute jammer. I'm going to guess that it's actually in Cool Vibes corridor. It's going to be just about where the player is playing. He's probably sat right on top of it, and that's just going to be jamming those ex-Kairos pellets and not allowing... Yep, you could just get a sneak peek of it under Maestro's boots there, and that's just not allowing that long angle to be opened up that Fnatic wanted to use from VIP. Tex instead is going to get himself up onto the Hooker window rappel. He's going to hold off until he gets the information through, and he does manage to put an absolutely ton of damage onto OCN there. Mag, he's into the default spot, getting that diffuser down. He's likely to stick it here. The challenge comes in from Harper. He knows that aggression is needed. Mag's going to give it another go here. I think he's just being hassled by this Yokai drone, but he doesn't manage to stop the plant this time. It is successful after a great shot onto the Yokai. 35 seconds left for Cloud9 to rescue this and prevent that dreaded overtime that they suffered at the hands of last time. Static, he tries to get aggressive towards Aquarium. He's going to have to battle with Lusty and Mag, who've both got themselves set up inside of there. Stiggs is down, don't forget, so it's effectively 3 versus 1, but the kills come in. There's nothing Cloud9 can do. That is 6-all after 12, and we once again for Cloud9 have watched them be reeled back in and brought into overtime.
Oh, Cloud9 are going to be in tatters after that. Giving it back down to the 6-6 and having it go through to overtime, starting on attack. Guess who it is? It's Fnatic. This is not the side of the map you want to be on if you're Cloud9 right now, given defenders have barely taken a round. They've taken 2 across the whole map so far. It's going to be rough, but let's see how they can shape up. And just looking down the kills real quick as well. Mentalist 14, Mag sat at 12.
26 between the two of them.
Envy and Charles, about 20, I think it's 23 between the two of them as well. So there's people doing work on either side, but not quite enough.
Well, they're going to have to find a little bit more work to do in the next 3 rounds. We are in best 3 round overtime now, so the first side to win 2 rounds will take the whole matchup. As you say, Des, Fnatic starting on the attack, which is a massive advantage. We've just seen both halves go 5-1 to the attackers. So Fnatic, they're going to be feeling pretty confident. They've just taken 5 out of the last 6, and they get to continue on the same side here, but also get the opportunity at those 2 attacking rounds, which could just be the only 2 that they need. we're going to be defending Sunrise and Blue Bar. It was, to be fair, the best defense that we've seen out of Cloud9. It was the Bandit, OCN playing in that far corner. I'm not sure that he'll get away with that again. You can see this time we've got the Iana. There wasn't any nades available last time. This time there is. That's going to be the play. Lusty has brought that along to make sure they can clear that Bandit out. We've also got Mag bringing Ace instead of Hibana. Again, more difficult to Bandit trick, and it's just that adaptation that we want to see.
I mean, hopefully it works out to be enough. But for Cloud9, they're the ones who are going to have to find something in the round to make sure the next one doesn't look utterly dire. They will be switching over to the attack in the next, so a win here will probably guarantee themselves a win in round number 14, one that they so sorely need, given how the stage has played out. But focusing here, Fnatic again are going for another similar style of setup, and this time round, maybe able to get it open. No, the impact coming in from the Alibi, I believe it was, keeps them alive for now at least. Shield removed away, but the wall stays closed at least for now. Grenades might start singing in a second. They've got enough utility as well. 3 flashes on the Nomad to burn through any ADSs that might be remaining, and quite fairly so. They moved away for a second. They're back in. I was going to say, you want to be so careful. If they'd stepped in too deep, that would have been an A kill going the way of Fnatic.
It would have been, but the Selma was cleared off once again, and Cloud9 just doing such a fantastic job of keeping that wall closed. It really is impressive to see. They're putting on an absolute masterclass of just denying access to that default plant spot. Now, Shaiol upstairs in Hooker on the Jaeger. They know exactly where he is. The shots rain in, but Shaiol will manage to avoid them. Dips his way back down Cool Vibe stairs. He's going to be forced out, but it's not the end of the world. He's wasted a bit of time and he lives to fight another day. That's the important thing here. 1 minute 30 left to go, still 5 versus 5. These two are just dancing round each other at the minute.
That concussion singing through lets him know there's no more ADSs to deal with here, so he can start pushing his way through. 2 concussions still in the back pocket. Save those one for a bit later on. You know what kind of damage you got or what things you might need to destroy as you start pushing your way inside the building. They've got that top floor control that they want, Ace, but 60 seconds still to play with. Means you've got to get a bit of a shift on here if you're the side of Fnatic. Start pushing your way and get using those breaching rounds. 3 so far have been committed as the 4th one also goes down. They've done the work they need to, but now I need to start thinking about that execute.
Envy Taylor snuck his way up onto the top floor, and I thought he'd been spotted out, but Mentalist puts the drone, and I think he's thrown it too far. He's unaware that Envy Taylor is up on the top floor here. He turns his attention away. Envy, why have you dipped away? The opportunity was there for him.
Yeah, I mean,
I think he might have got spotted by a second drone.
Possibly. I mean, shooting the drone out also lets them know, well, that drone's dead. Clearly, there's someone on that flank. It's like a tripwire system for you, essentially. Static's in, trying to go for the plant, but gets shot off the wall by Mag as he tried to scramble away from the friendly smoke. Not quite the way you wanted that one to play out, I think. Well, friendly smoke, he was inside the smoke. He is. The smoke can't die to it. Go figure. Either way, tried to scramble to safety. Couldn't quite do it. Stigs with the vertical. The Iana charging in, giving some information, but the final 10 seconds, the smoke comes in and detects Mag. Going for a plant as yet another smoke comes through. He's down so low, the spray comes in, but the cover's there. He's down. 1 second to tick through. No one's going to be able to get it in time. Cloud9 find the round they need. I said if they get this, they go on to the attack. They could take this, Ace.
There's a lot of problems for Fnatic to break down inside of that round. Not least of all the time. They left it so late. Mag goes in. He has no choice but to breathe lungfuls of that Toxic Babe canister, and then ultimately leaves himself 1 bullet away from being down. The cover was in place from the Sunrise window, but it was just a fraction of a second too late, and Mag just being put down in time for Cloud9. Now, Fnatic, they're going to have to go complete role reversal here. We were saying coming in how the attack was the advantageous side. Well, Cloud9, they've flipped the script. They've turned it around and they've put a defensive round on the board. They've doubled down on their favourite site, Sunrise Blue Bar. They've got it over the line. All they need now is 1 successful attack, and they will have the win that they have been so desperately looking for in Stage 2.
Both sides scrambling for Blue Bar and Sunrise as well. It was the choice in round 13. It's the same here in round 14. Fnatic way back at the start of the match, if you recall, were caught off by not so much a direct rush to site, but it was a very pacey attack inside the first 60 seconds to get themselves on site, take control, kill 3 members of Fnatic, and basically guarantee that the round goes their way. So almost taking a bit of a leaf out of the book of Cloud9 here, Fnatic are, again in sticking 3 ADSs inside the Couch's corner, reinforcing up the walls, sticking a man in that corner with the smoke to play for support. They really want to hold Cloud9 back on the assumption they'll be trying to push their way in through pool entrance, but don't forget about Envy's 2K from inside a kitchen. Still something to worry about here, and it's not all going to come from pool.
It's absolutely not. We've got quick pressure. Again, quick movement coming in from that ruined spawn, heading in towards the pool entrance side of things. They're looking to get themselves quickly involved and start applying some pressure to these defenders. We're going to have OCN. He's moving down. I thought he was going to open the kitchen window there, but he chooses not to. It looks like he's going to be going more directly towards that default side of sight. Harper on the upside down rappel, just making sure that there's not anybody there playing on the close angle. We did see the Wamai just in that room, Mentalist, just applying those magnet discs inside or just next to one of the suitcases there to try and help protect the player in that default corner. You can see it's all stacked up. There's 3 ADSs, mute jammer, shield. Everything is there to help Mag succeed in that position.
It's like your little brother or sister locks himself in a bathroom and just goes, I'm not coming out, staying in here. He's not being shifted by anything, but might get shifted by a nade. Mentalist, all that defense being chucked into the couch's corner makes this one a little bit rougher because he doesn't have all that much cover for himself until, of course, a couple of those magnets get on the recharge. Still sat watching the window. And Cloud9, sure, it's only been 1 minute and 20, but still feeling out, okay, what's the best way to get through this setup? I wish, by the way, everyone could have seen Jess's face at the first minute of that round. She looked like she was chewing a wasp.
Envy Taylor applying some shots down from the rooftop there. Maybe a little bit of information about the player playing inside a kitchen. Text for the time being does not feel any of those connect. Still a couple of players up on the rooftop here, and when they're attacking into Sunrise, this is a lot of time that it's going to take them to get into things here potentially. 10, 15 seconds could well be the difference. 2 players for Fnatic still locked inside a kitchen. The defender's not really being moved around too much yet. This is going to come down to a late execute potentially from Cloud9 here, just collapsing in all at the same time.
Might have to. C4 comes out onto Harper. Good start. Would it be mad now to see 2 defender wins back-to-back after the game that we've had? Absolutely it would. But as we get into those final 45 seconds, with 9 members still left alive, it could just descend into absolute chaos, and defenders could be the ones who prevail. They've got 2 sat inside a kitchen. They've adapted to what Envy was doing back in round 1 at the very start of the map, and as of yet are unable to break open this pool hole. They're all gathering around because they know that's where they want to go, but only now are we finally going to start seeing something coming through. Now the ADS is starting to fire. I think 2 triggered at once there, actually. So only 1 is still active, unless there were 2 nades coming in at exactly the same moment. They've got zapped out. With 1 still standing, they've got the smokes to play behind if they need them. Mentalist finding another. This could be the 2 defender wins that we wanted.
It certainly could. Mag just starts to use those toxic babe canisters. Out comes the shotgun. It's all too easy. They've not been able to deal with the utility that was in place, and Cloud9 coming unstuck, Des, to their own techniques, their own strategies that they've employed so well against Fnatic. Fnatic say, you know what? We can do that just as well as you can.
An absolute fortress being built around pool entrance there. My God. And Cloud9 admittedly leaving it incredibly late in the round to really make a play happen. It was more like 2 minutes of scoping out, okay, what do we actually need to do here? This is a little bit crazy, not sure what to do with it. And it comes to the execute, and they basically lose out entirely into that 4 versus 1 to close. Both teams taking the defensive win. Can that now be repeated onto another site? They, of course, can't return to Blue Bar and Sunrise now that they've already won it in overtime. So it's going to be heading above that site up into Hookah and Billiards to see how we get on. We did see for a couple of seconds the Glass hovered. We had the Monty being hovered as they thought about it. But here, I think, have stuck and now are changing over instead to having the Ying as their 6th pick in.
There's a little bit of bad news for Cloud9 fans, Des, and that is that we saw Cloud9 try to defend Hookah and Billiards 3 times. They lost it 3 times. Fnatic have shown a great ability to attack onto this site so far. Cloud9 unable to find the answers, unable to adapt to the ferocity that Fnatic were bringing when attacking onto this location. So right now, Cloud9, they are backs against the wall, Des. I've got to say, after winning that defensive round there is a little bit of momentum. There's every advantage right now sitting with Fnatic coming into this one.
Bubbling up to it as well. I mean, the Lion and the Ying on side of the 2 big operators that catch my attention here. You have that Yin coming in, the Candelas, the smokes, for example. You're calling in the E1D at the same time. That's a great way to make sure that Cloud9 are left basically paralyzed and able to do anything about the onslaught coming in. But Fnatic, at least, needs to make sure those two operators are surviving until that point of execution. Because for Cloud9, they've got a 90 hold on the setup. This is what Fnatic employed when they were defending Penthouse and Theatre, had the Clash playing there. And Cloud9 found it really hard to unseat. So, Fnatic, challenge number one is probably clearing out Penthouse and Theatre, getting 90 control, getting VIP control, and then thinking about your execute, because they've constantly gone for the Aqua plan.
Out comes the Nitro. It will be unsuccessful though, as Fnatic just wriggle their way up to the rooftop. Now then, OCN, he's going to hold on to those white stairs for a little bit longer. If you remember last time, we saw a great shot from Mentalist onto those stairs, so he needs to be very careful because he could find himself losing his life, and indeed he does. He scurries away there.
It's very rare you see someone actually just literally like sitting in the middle of a window frame as well. Normally you get like a pixel angle on the rappel or just from below, but no, he was sat in the middle like, come on then, walk up those stairs and you're mine.
I think we just see an EMP grenade lost there, but the job is done one way or another, and the wall is opened by the X-Kairos pellets, one of them at least, that have been applied. I just saw the ADS at the time, just one of its little sort of zip lines that shows that it's caught something. I don't know if it was the EMP or not. Now, still 5 versus 5. Mag's looking for any angle he can find into Theatre here. Envy Taylor does take some damage on the mute, and that is one of the first exchanges that we've had. Mag has lost his couple of hit points along the way as well. Mentalist is there, but no, not this time, as OCN manages to find the angle up onto the repelling Mentalist and takes him down. Advantage Cloud9 leveled out as Stigs gets one onto Shio, and then the kills start coming in. Mag, Stigs with a second onto OCN, and it is advantage Fnatic right now. 4 versus 2. This is all down to Static and Harper to try and rescue something here for Cloud9. Anything.
Stigs might have just rescued it for the boys there as well. OCN on the white stairs. It would have taken the tiniest of pixel peaks to get the shot, and that could have been the big saviour for the round to shut Fnatic's attack down, and Cloud9 would have been sat instead looking at a 3 versus 3 and not a 4 versus 2. But constantly throughout this game, we've said X team has got the numbers advantage that they then lose the round with. It's perfectly possible, but it's going to take heroic efforts out of Static and Harper.
It is 4 versus 2. Drones coming out. Plenty of time here, and that is just everything stacked up against Static and Harper. Fnatic will be aware of their locations. In comes the flash, full white. Mag goes in, gets the kill. 1 versus 4. It's all down to Harper on the Aruni. Fnatic in what has been an epic battle are looking to fight back, but no, it's 1 versus 1. It all comes down to this. We've seen every single possible round. 8 seconds left. The clock is not on the side of Lusty. He really needs to find this kill. He's being pinged out. They know where he is, and there's the battle, and there's the kill. Harper somehow gets it over the line for Cloud9.
Unbelievable that it comes down to the dying milliseconds in a 1v1 for Cloud9 to get the win they've been chasing. It was far from in the fashion they wanted it, but you know just how much it must mean to them to get back on the wagon against one of the strongest teams in APAC North. What a game that's been to end the day.
It's a good job that it's the last game of the day, Des, because my heart cannot take any more of that. All the way to 15, into overtime.